podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This is the Mall Street Journal.
Hello and welcome to the Mall Street Journal, the podcast that brings you all the latest news and reviews for all things American rugby. We are part of the Global Gainline Network and can be found on all your usual platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. If you haven't already, give us a like or a subscribe, tell a couple of friends about us, or just send photographic evidence that Bluey's dad Bandit has finally switched codes to Union. This is episode 13, Lucky 13. As always, I'm David Lawrence, joined as always by the full squad. Coming to us from Alamo City is Kolya. Kolya, how are you doing this fine evening?
Pretty good.
This week for our opening question, if your week had a theme song, what song would it be?
So there's a kind of Austin country song, My Own Worst Enemy. That would be this week for me.
That's fantastic. Of course, coming to us from the land of 1,000 lakes, it's Julia. Julia, how is life in the Gopher State?
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm pretty sure it's Minnesota, which is fantastic. I love hockey first and foremost. Big hockey state. I think I read recently 9 out of the 10 top universities for women's hockey products is my state, Minnesota. So I'm having a really great time. I don't know why I brought that up on our rugby podcast. It just came to mind because it does when you're a Minnesotan.
Yes, as you clearly are. Julia, if your week had a theme song, what song would it be?
I also have, I wish I had something like cool or something that anybody would recognize at all, but it's not the kind of it's not the kind of music I listen. Like I wish I was in touch, but we know what ages we all are. Mine would be a trip hop band that I like a lot, Mo Horizons. They have a song called Lovely Day Inside, and it's about how it is a lovely day to spend inside because outside is crappy and our weather has been terrible. And then also, I don't know if you heard, but and then it redacts heavily about what's going on in the DC metropolitan area.
Interesting.
So we can stay on all the platforms.
There's stuff going on for sure.
People are present.
People are doing things.
That feels very diplomatic. People are present.
There's a company, you know how like if you pass by office buildings, like they lease out space to different companies, and there's a company they're big enough in this one office building to have their logo on the side, and their name is Work Human, and it always feels like a command. Work Human.
Oh, okay. Work Human is good. My first thought was I was just like, oh, that makes androids for sure. 100% drones. It's making human clones.
These are the work humans.
Exactly. These are the work humans. And it's in one of my near future dystopias, just waiting to happen. And I feel left out that I didn't know because I would go and investigate.
I like you have multiple future dystopias, by the way.
It's a really great genre. I really recommend it. If you're sad, never mind. Delete.
My song, of course, would be Songs from the Wood by Jethro Tull, because we went to the Ren Fair this weekend and had a grand old time. And hold on, I need to take a second to push my glasses up.
That's all. All right, what'd you do at the Ren Fair?
Oh, it was awesome. It was a brand new one. We'd never been there. It was the Connecticut Ren Fair. Great place, great vibes, really, really fun. Everything about it was great. And at the end of the day, so my partner decided to do a pony ride at the end, and she was dressed to the nines. And this guy who was clearly the fair photographer with the huge lens came over and he was like, "Do you mind if I take some photos?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're going to enjoy this, buddy." And he took a string of photos, and then as she's getting off, he's like, "You want to look?" And he's showing them to me. And I was like, "Oh, this is a big day for you as the fair photographer." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'm the fair photographer, but I'm also the owner." And then I got to talk to him for like 15 minutes about his fair and what he plans to do it in the future and how it compares to the fair I used to work at and back in the day and stuff. It was really, really cool.
You're always a man of the people at the Ren Fair.
Yeah. There's very few places where I'm going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to reach out and stick my hand out and talk to you," but a Ren Fair.
I sure fit in here.
Our tradition, of course, is to start with some news. We'll toss it over to Kolya as usual. Kolya, what's new for you?
Well, the biggest news is that the U.S. is actually not out of the Women's Rugby World Cup.
Oh,
We have an assistant referee for the semifinal.
that's right. We absolutely do. Pride of Texas.
Kat is getting is AR2 for the France versus England match.
That is a great shout.
Yeah, and we are fingers crossed that when things inevitably happen, because the math is already there, we are hoping that you are there for the final as well.
Oh, wow. Anything else for you, Kolya?
Not really that I've seen. I saw a couple of grassroots things that I'll bring up later.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Julia, what about you? Any news on the USA front?
No, not on the USA front. I don't remember if I brought it up last week. We were starting to see, we knew some names weren't going to be coming back, but we saw Charlie Jacoby announce that she retired. Great, has a good run. We already knew, I believe that Hope had already said before that this was going to be her last World Cup. So, bon
A couple
voyage.
of times though.
Yeah, has said it a couple of times, and so has Charlie. So Charlie said for real this, like she had to disclaim it. She's like, no, seriously, for real. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, it's not really news, just we do know that the head coach Sano Fukufuka has departed. We are now technically in the search. I assume that are probably back office plans already. I'm sure that the search will be publicized as national and wide searching and everything, but I'm hoping that they already have some ideas.
It might make me an idiot, but I hadn't thought about him replacing Joe Yap until y'all mentioned it last week, and now I'm convinced that's what's happening.
Well, so the thing is, he's already been an assistant coach in the Wallaroos setup.
Right.
The fact that he announced it after this is all tinfoil hat, but all of the pieces do fit. I started sneaking on some Reddit and Twitter and Blue Sky type threads with other Australian rugby folks. There are a few other names being bandied about for head coach of Australia, but Fukufuka is apparently one of the big ones. And luckily, everybody is out of immediate threat because Michael Cheika has taken a job in rugby league. So we're safe.
That's right. There's something about that guy, though. Like, it must be nice to be. I don't want Michael Cheika to be my coach,
fail up,
but I kind of want to be Michael
up.
Cheika.
Yeah, I would really love to like never make a mistake. Apparently,
Yeah.
Like, I do love his rugby league stuff. That he's so tied in with his Lebanese heritage.
Yeah,
I have not heard this.
I got it.
Really?
Yeah, big
Yeah.
Lebanese community in Australia.
Yes. So he's a Maronite Christian with Lebanese heritage.
Yeah.
And while he's been coaching in Union, he's also been the national team coach for Lebanon Rugby League.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't
It's
know
really
Lebanon
smart,
had a
and
rugby
it's
league
also
team.
Yeah.
exactly, and it's also why you can, like, when you're in that position, and it's definitely one of the ones where you can make more money than you would expect. You could take any job that you want in Union, and he does.
It must be so cool because he's like, okay, this year, let's see, Singapore. Next year, France. It must be nice. Also, you're going to be shocked. I watched the NRL final from this past weekend because Lee and Josh were talking about it, Blood and Mud. Really fun game. It's hard for me to watch NRL because it's
Okay, I was like, it's
targeting
very
heads.
hard for me, but go with
I
God.
tried to watch. I watched State of Origin last year, and I like 10 minutes in, I had to stop it because it was just so disgusting. But this one was like
not for me.
It was a TMO affair. One team thought they won it, then it turned out they didn't, and then the other team thought they won it and they didn't, and went to Golden Point. It was the whole 9 yards. Anyway,
yes.
So I don't have
There
any.
is that one other piece of news.
Yes.
That dropped shortly after we recorded last week.
Mm-hmm.
The Houston SaberCats put out a message to the fans that they will be suspending operations for the 2025-2026 season in MLR. But the message, unlike some of the others we've seen from MLR teams suspending, this one seemed much more final.
Yep. And I got to talk to Mags a little bit about it, and he said, yeah, the owner decided he's not interested anymore, or they're not interested anymore. So that's that.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
s-
what I'm really interested in is where some of those Sabercats players are going to end up.
yeah.
Especially in
Be-
light of the greater news about
yes.
what players they want. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't have news. I heard some serious rumors, MLR wise, from the MLR Weekly podcast. It's a great app. It just came out yesterday or the day before. I recommend checking it out. As they say very clearly, these are just rumors. So we've decided, we talked about it before the show. We're not going to start repeating them and speculating about them until we know more. But there could be serious changes in terms of the number of teams in MLR and rules considering international players and slots and so on. I feel like we'll have a lot of talk, a lot to talk about next week.
Yeah.
Guess what? Our men's Eagles were back in action this weekend, and hold on to your scrum cap. We won. USA defeated Samoa 29-13 in Denver. That result officially qualified us for the men's 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia, thereby avoiding the need for the two-game tie against Chile, which Samoa will now have to play on short week. I mean, what also sucks for them is they won't get a home fixture. They have to play in the U.S. and then Chile. It could be rough. Julia, give us your takeaways from this match.
I only got to see the highlights and not the entire match just because of time overlaps. But my overall takeaway, I'm obviously very happy with the win. I there was improvement. Certainly I feel that USA won it rather than Samoa lost it, which is
Hmm.
sometimes the case. But I don't feel necessarily that it was super far off. There are improvements. It was an improved team against, in my opinion, a less improved team comparatively to their own performances in their last matches. Um, can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm glad for the improvement. At the same time, I feel like great, we've qualified. The climb now, and especially just coming off the Women's World Cup, we know now that the climb is steeper than sometimes it appears.
Kolia, this result saw us move up 3 places in the world rankings. Do you think 16th is fair for the USA right now?
As fair as the rugby rankings are,
Can
Okay.
be.
because they're
Yeah.
very, very variable and move.
Arbitrary.
The
Yes,
weights are
yes,
strange.
yes. It's
Yeah.
very strange how it works. I really enjoyed watching this match, although the
Yeah. I was just
first,
going to say, give us your
Absolutely.
standout moments. I feel
yeah,
like you really enjoyed this match. This was
yeah,
a breath of fresh air.
yeah. I enjoyed this match. Less so the first half. We started with a line out penalty, or with a line or with a Samoa penalty after we had another garbage line out, and I thought, oh no, here we go again. And then
That gets frustrating.
Hilsenbeck went off for an HIA really early on, and I thought, oh no, this is going to get even worse. And then Pano Davis got a yellow card for a what I thought a ticky tack early tackle penalty,
Yeah, for sure.
and I was really really happy that it was only 8-6 at halftime. So 8-6 at halftime, and then we came out the blocks in the second half just going.
Yeah.
Our line out functioned. Mitch Wilson played a great match, and
He
we were
did.
really worried about
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Ruben de Haas is on a tear with the Eagles right now.
Which is wonderful to see.
Yes,
And favorite.
yes, yes. Uh, he's so much fun to watch. Like the Geiger try at, after de Haas's fun play, that just made my day, and I knew once that happened, we were home through.
Ruben Haas tweets so frequently about USA Rugby, and I tried to get in there. I was like, "Oh, hey, Ruben, you were so great. We need you. This is great." No response. No nothing. I'm like, okay, whatever.
He's a man who he's putting his content out there. It's content for consumption. You don't need to interact with it.
It's
He's
true.
putting his art out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
um, Julia, Samoa managed only one try in this game. It came in the final quarter of play. You kind of already touched it. Like you guys have pretty much teed up my entire script. Was this great Eagles defense, or did Samoa just kind of have an off day?
It felt like it was an off day. That said, and actually Coley spurred my thoughts on it a little bit better. It was set piece improvement, and set piece had been such a concern for so long. I think it may have just been the difference between like unfortunately, several matches in a row in which everything wasn't firing at the same time at the right time. There was a case of firing at the right time. I would also agree that it was more the first half than the second half, but still fantastic half of rugby in terms of, finishing it out, which I'm happy we did because we don't always finish. But in terms of finishing out, riding that inertia, great. It's a good lesson to learn, especially going into matches that will, to put it honestly, that matches are going to get harder from here when you go up to the World Cup.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not all going to be teams that are hobbled by X, Y, and Z.
Yes. And I think the biggest, like, if there was a moment in the match that said, we finally fixed something, in the set piece, it was actually our first try from Toby Fricker that came after a pretty dominant scrum and a really well-worked move after it.
That looked pre-planned. It looked like we executed it perfectly. It was nice. That was a great opening try.
Yeah, it said that we'd actually been coaching set pieces.
I was going to say, you can tell with this team when it's something they've actually worked on, which is both good and bad, but good for now.
Yes.
You want to see that market improvement.
I love the way you both teed this up. Kolia, Samoa's set piece was misfiring badly. It was a meager 85% line-out success and a sad 67% scrum success rate.
Is the big surprising one.
What do you think was their biggest problem on Sunday? Was that it?
I think it was set piece and just they didn't seem to want it as much as we did. Like, I know we said the same with the US-Canada match, that Canada wanted it more. That's the case here. It really seemed like Samoa was tired after all their matches and all of their travel, and they just weren't ready for what the US was throwing at them.
Right. They looked lackadaisical, or as our UK friends say, lackadaisical.
I didn't know if that was just that, like, they don't know that that's wrong, or if it's like part of the vernacular, and then you can't ask because they're like, we invented it, and I'm like, well, we do it better.
They don't know it's wrong.
I don't know.
They don't know it's wrong.
Okay.
They just get it wrong.
It
was great to see the celebrations at the end of this match. You could really see how much
feel it. That's very
players.
American rugby. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was.
It's a good feeling.
Emotions.
If you're an American,
really
you enjoy it, man. Like, we all have that running through our blood. We're like, yeah, that's the stuff.
So either of you, does this result represent any kind of like redemption for the story we've been telling here on this pod? Like already mentioned, Toby Fricker, he got a nice try. Mitch Wilson, 3 or 4 conversions. He looked strong. Are you seeing genuine improvements in how our squad is gelling together, and with this new attacking style?
For me,
I realize that every time I say either of you, Coley is going to wait until Julie says something.
Right, I know, but then I don't. But then I have my complex from my other one where they're like, the one she never shuts up. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, there was definitely a redemption arc, especially if we're talking about the scrum, if we're talking about line out, particularly the line out. That
93% I think we had with line out.
Yeah. Yeah, even with some weird selections that still continued with the weird selections, we were able to put something together that worked.
which is positive. I mean, it wasn't something we always were able to say. I hesitate only because, like, if you are an American rugby fan, you learn to hesitate before you make calls like this. It does feel like certain pieces are improving, and like I would feel remiss to say like, no, we can't know after one match, which is also true, but two things can be true. And I do think that
I think we look better than we did at the beginning of this tournament.
Exactly. That was what I was going to say.
Just cohesion, right?
Exactly. In terms of, there are so many levels on which you can judge a team's performance, and when you are in a whether we like it or not, we're in a transitional period, just because like it's either that or you say building, and you don't want to go into a World Cup saying you're building. So okay. But we are, to be honest, we don't have set systems. We don't have something gelled that we have practiced even like one solid year. I say this with full knowledge that also it's the same problem that USA women have. When we get this laid down, when we start our next phase of like solid gelled USA rugby, I think this is what it will start to look like, is what I would
say. Once again, you already mentioned him. Free Jack Caleb Geiger, he got our final score. He had a pretty good game, I thought. Kolya, any other standout players for you this weekend that you kind of said, ooh, I like this performance?
Helu played really well.
Good call.
I don't have any because I'm still learning everybody, but I'm agreeing.
A little side note, did you notice that one of the assistant refs was Andrew Brace? Like, that's a pretty good get for a touchy. I wonder how that came about. I was kind of like, what? Andrew Brace? Not
bad.
Bike? Yeah.
Good grab. Great. We love
And
to see it.
Final side note, I hope I have this right. With USA's qualification, there are only 2 remaining spots for the men's 2027 Rugby World Cup. The winner of the 2-test series, which is now between Chile and Samoa, and the loser of that match takes part in the 4-team repechage.
In the repechage, yeah.
Just before Thanksgiving for us. By the way, isn't it nice to be on a podcast where you can just say Thanksgiving and everyone listening ostensibly knows what you're talking about?
And if you have a problem with it, you have to go look stuff up. Unlike the rest of us, when we listen to rugby podcasts, and we have to look stuff up.
Use
it's nice.
The internet.
We all have it. I understand recently the UK got it. You have it now.
I was considering reading off the 22 teams that are qualified right now, but I kind of think that's boring podcasting.
I think I'm not gonna lie to you. I do think that when it's something that you can literally just
you can
straight into Google and pull it up.
Looking it up,
it's kind of like I recently
it would take you to look it up is less than the time it would take me to read it. So
exactly, and I recently read a social media thread in which everybody was having the most stupid argument ever, but it was about academics reading their papers aloud at conferences. And what I learned, even though I always thought it was, whenever I attended conferences, I liked it because I could get the inflections, you could ask questions a lot. Okay. Yeah, whatever. But everyone's just like, "Do you think we're stupid?" And I'm like, no. That's not what presenting information is like. Anyway, this is veering off into educational theory.
When I worked at Providence College, by the way, Kolya, Providence College, the only, at the time, at least, they said, this is the only institute of higher learning in the United States that is Catholic, that is not Jesuit, because Providence College is run by the Dominican Blackfriars.
Yeah, but that's wrong.
I had a feeling.
But they're lying.
Tell us.
Yeah. So Villanova University, where the Pope is from,
not Jesuit?
is an Augustinian institution.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because no, Villanova and Georgetown, not same guys. I thought it was same guys, and I was corrected.
Interesting. Well, this is a major side tangent, but so
I thought you were going to say, because we are breaking major news.
It's why there's such a big rivalry between Villanova and Georgetown in basketball.
Oh, okay.
Now, see, and I was going to say that was what connected it for me. But I'm told from my other podcast, no one likes it when I talk about basketball because they don't know what I'm talking about.
That's okay. I've learned that. But so, as the AV guy, when I started at Providence College, we had, until the year just before I started, we had to do all the AV for commencement. We had to set up all the PA, like we did it on site, on campus. Thankfully, the year just before I started, they said, we're not doing that anymore. We're moving it to the PPAC, the Providence Performing Arts Center. let the union guys take care of it. Thank God. But the final year that my AV colleagues had to do it, so it's Providence College. So part of commencement is a mass because the president of Providence College is by law a priest. He has to be, and so
or he gets arrested. You
well,
were like, by law. I was like, the
two
cops
things can
come.
be
It's
true.
a whole problem.
But
Yeah.
Father Smith gives mass before starting the commencement proceedings, and I'm not Catholic. I didn't know about this, but there's this sort of call and response thing where there's the they do this back and forth, and they say there's like a peace be with you, and then everyone says and also with you,
Also with you.
which seems like a nice thing. Father Smith's microphone was having trouble. We had given him my to be colleagues had given him a wireless microphone that was dodgy and it was having trouble, and it kept cutting in and out. And Father Smith kept getting more and more annoyed, and eventually he got to the point where he was going to say that, and the mic went out, and he said loudly, "There's something wrong with this microphone," and the whole audience goes, "And also with you."
Had it on lock. We had it ready to deliver. At that point, when you hear the end of the sentence, you're just saying it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Anyway, that's very rugby related. I just want to take a moment to remind all of you that liking and subscribing and going to Providence College is the best way to help us grow. If you could tell a friend
And whatever
or two,
hyping is. I was told to hype us, but I don't know what that is. I don't know what
Yeah,
hyping
Lee
is
keeps
on
asking.
YouTube, but Lee keeps telling us. So, producers, if you're listening, we said it. We don't know what the hell it means.
Well, the good news is we have surpassed 600 subscribers on YouTube. We've been asking for that for a couple of weeks. We have a lofty aim of getting to 1,000 in the next couple of months. If you've already been listening, we really appreciate it. If you can tell a friend, that would be absolutely wonderful. So our men, they don't play again until they face Scotland on November 1st. Kolya, if you could get our players into a nice long camp between now and then, what would you prioritize? Like, what can we realistically improve before we face the world's number 8 team?
Set piece, just to make sure that wasn't a one-off against Samoa. That would be the thing I would hit 90% of the time.
Wait, we should also disclaim, because I never asked. Kolya, what position did you play?
Oh, multiple, I think you said, right?
Yes,
It
yes,
was multiple, but I forget which
multiple,
family of
but
positions.
it was either lock or winger.
Okay.
And
Yeah. So that's why you and I say what we say.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Great.
And
This
sometimes
is another
scrum half.
podcast where backs simply aren't allowed to express their opinion.
Yes.
I think I probably would have been at back just because I.
Exactly. See?
Yes.
And you got the spirit for it. I'm not gonna. Well, you have the spirit for a scrum half, but we'll talk about it another time. I think you would have loved it. I don't know how tall you are. Well, I don't know how
Did
tall
you just
you are.
call me a dickhead on our own podcast?
I called you cheeky as hell. I come from the women's game, not the men's. The women's game, they're all cheeky. No, think about all the women that Pauline Bourdon stands to. Oh, what an insult to call you like that.
That's
Mo
true.
Hunt, Kira Bevan, come on.
By
Not
the way,
an insult in the women's game.
I know this isn't our purview, but in the World Cup this weekend, I was lucky to chat with Hattie on my other podcast
Yes.
recently, and she told me how it does her head in that Sansus always comes off at 65 minutes. She made it to like 71 this weekend.
She thinks that it should be made illegal, and it was actually 75 minutes today. And it was technically over 80 because Ireland played 7 minutes into the half. I say that because the Welsh won't let me stop thinking about it because they really want to nail home.
Julia, this date we've got with Scotland in November, what's your inner optimist looking for in the autumn for the men? What do you think we can do better? Do we have a hope?
To beat Scotland, no.
Scotland do like to screw up.
So that's the thing, is that Scotland really like to flop under pressure, and that's why I hesitated, not like to try to be nice or anything.
Right.
But the thing is, we know this, and
the thing is, there will be no pressure because it's us.
Right. And okay, but that is a position you can approach a match from. I would argue, actually, you know what? Okay, and no offense to the USA men's Eagles, you are no South Africa women, but South Africa women approached their match against the Ferns with like we're gonna we have
100%.
we have a phrase here in America. I'm sorry for cursing, but it is part of the phrase. Fuck it, we ball. Like, why not? And American men have that in the tank. I don't necessarily know if they would bring it out. It requires a special thing, but we have that factor. Like, that's the thing that both of our rugby teams have, is pulling off a miracle. And on the other side of it, Scotland can sometimes put in a performance where you're just like, ooh, buddy, what? And, that could happen. I don't want to put either hope or despair into anybody's hearts. I will say that it is not impossible. And
I'm so glad you mentioned this because
we need to see
I've
what
been
camp
asking people
brings.
this recently. Why are no coaches except Rassie trying to innovate? And all of a sudden, this
That's
past
not
weekend,
true.
you know what we saw? The South African women. It's the
Oh,
South.
sure. So Swice the
It's officially
Brine
the South African
is
vibe. Like, we're going to mix it up. We're going to show you something you
sure.
haven't seen. We're going to see if the ref knows what we're doing.
So
I love that. And why aren't more coaches doing that?
So you're right, and I'm sorry, I have to correct you. Absolutely not true. Canada women are the most confounding rugby. Squidge put out a video about
Absolutely.
Canada women.
Yes.
Okay,
100%.
so
women.
so
100%. I immediately
Kevin
concede.
Rowe has decided, he was like, oh, actually, we have a new thing. And the new thing works, and it confounds everybody. It's the fastest rugby anybody's ever seen, men's or women's. But you're right. Ultimately, that's where I was going with it, is like, we are in the age of rugby, and we are in a specific place in American development of rugby that, like, why not? Why not?
Right.
Truly, for that specific match, there isn't anything to lose.
Right, we're in kitchen sink territory. This is the flea flicker time, right?
Yeah, and if you wanted to put on a show to give everybody a reason to watch for this World Cup that will be hard to watch for us in America, that's when you would do it.
No, I 100% concede that, and the Squidge video is great.
Oh, okay, I was like, if you haven't
my
seen it, you would love it.
no, and one of my takeaways from it also was Canada isn't just innovating; they're able to react on the fly as well. Like that's my favorite thing about Canada is they can actually adjust.
Yeah. Is how to adjust on the fly, because it's part of the plan.
Right. So South Africa this weekend, they threw everything at it, but then they weren't reacting, they weren't adjusting, they just kind of confused you, and that was that. So, but
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, it was confusing / innovative, and then really the second half was a question of, like, does an 80-minute team versus a team that has never made a quarterfinal before. Like, you're just gonna see that. I wouldn't argue that, like, suddenly they forgot how to innovate. It just, you ran out of it, and that's what happened. And I feel like I say that because exactly, and I say that because that might be something you see from the men, but what we're hoping for in the interim between now and then is that we'll address that sort of thing. And I think that was part of what Collier meant as well.
Back to the USA, Collier, I'm going to try to ask this delicately. Do the USA men have a charisma problem? Because our women don't. And is it only in comparison that I'm asking that?
Well, I think the issue is that men's rugby in general has a charisma problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
That, like, you see this over in Europe with just the craziness around Henry Pollock, who is,
I was gonna say, part of their culture is just hating each other.
Yes. Like, Henry Pollock is what you'd see on any college football team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He does nothing different.
Yeah.
And
people react to him in the same way, which is
people
weird.
are going crazy about it.
He's an example of one of my favorite type of players, where it's like, if that player is on your team, you're like, ugh! And if they're on any other team, you're like, I hate that person so much.
Marley Packer. We all have, all of our game has it. Yep.
Yeah.
Why not use English?
Yeah.
I don't know. We're just asking questions.
So one thing I think that could be a thing the US does, especially with how they've seen how much someone like Alona Mar can bring people in.
Thank you for mentioning that name.
Yeah, is actually breaking that rugby guy mold in the US.
Absolutely.
And actually doing fun things. Like you talked about Ruben de Haas's Twitter.
That's fun.
It's
Like,
fun.
it's
It is
interactive.
it is not a normal rugby thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way,
That is
like,
what separates them.
well, there are all kinds of conversations you can have. And actually, it's interesting. This
Mm.
is one that, like, in the rugby taco sphere has actually been talked about very recently because we are at like the boiling point of Women's World Cup. And there is the conversation of just, there is a Lonomar, yes, awesome. That's a blueprint. There have also been other attempts successful and not. Women tend to go viral more easily. I think of Anna McGann and Eve Higgins and their fleece from Ireland. That was another thing. Like, there's the instinct, and by the way, this is bred from women not being professional for so long. We've had to have brand partnerships for so long to get
Yeah.
boot sponsors, to get nutrition sponsors.
Yeah.
For a long time, like, they still have it now. Several of the Red Roses have car sponsors through their clubs, and that's the car they use to get to practice. That's going to become more and more prevalent throughout, especially with how fast South Africa is professionalizing. But because of that, they've had to, by nature, put themselves out more. And it sucks because you get, people argue that the thing that happened with Jazz Joyce and Sarah Byrne with the TikTok wouldn't happen in the men's game. Okay, yeah, probably. But it's not because of some dumb girly thing. It's
No,
because
it's because they wouldn't be doing fun stuff on TikTok.
because they don't need to. They don't need to. They have their contract. They have their club contract. Those girls have a club contract, a national contract, part-time job, and still have to have brand partnerships. Because of that, you learn how to sell. I think if we teach these boys how to sell, which they're seeing, and they're seeing how fun it is, by the way, because it's also fun to interact with your fans. They're seeing that, and you're seeing men doing that.
I think the suits in charge don't know this, especially in the men's game.
Because
I think the Old Boy Network,
to the suits, they don't care because they're like, this isn't generating money directly for me. That's your own problem. These people need to make their own money, and then also they're allowed to have fun. They're not your products. They're people.
If there's a face of the USA Men's Eagles, who's it going to be? It kind of was AJ for a long time, and I love the man to pieces, but he's not.
He's not relevant anymore. So much.
We need somebody new.
After this weekend, Luke Carty.
I love Luke Carty. I've been talking about him for a while.
It's a good one.
Right at the top of the broadcast, they were like, much disparaged. Say what you will about Luke Carty. Like, and I was like, what are you guys even referencing?
Cool, thanks.
It was really weird. Any final thoughts about the USA men from this weekend? We're psyched that we're in the World Cup. It's I don't expect we're gonna make it out of the pools. I loved a comment today. I think it was Brian Ray who was like, "Hey, we're qualified and we're gonna win." And I was just like, you know what? I just like hearing somebody shout that. I don't believe it, but I love it.
Yeah,
we're allowed to all shout it one calendar time a year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Survive in advance.
Survive in advance.
The American way.
Yeah. Each week, we do like to find some grassroots news. I came up blanks this week. Either of you have some cool tidbits for us?
So we've got 3.
Yes.
One, more up in your area. I was sent this right before we went on air. Portland Rugby Club in Portland, Maine, is going to, in the spring, create the first rugby-specific pitch in southern Maine.
Didn't I send that to you guys last week? Yeah, I did. I sent it in. That's fine.
Yeah.
Edit that out in post.
Yeah.
I think you did. Yeah. You sent
I
us
sent it
this
to you,
link,
David, and I said, you'll
like...
care. And you were like, I'm sleepy. Because
Yeah.
you were sleepy.
I mean, to be fair, it was true.
I was going to say we were sleepy.
Yeah. Second, in college rugby, we had a match between number 3 Navy and Mary Washington University at number 11, won by Navy. Navy's now up to 2nd in the rankings.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Mary Wash, dear to my heart, are regular rivals at my college. They are very good. Very good at rugby in both men and women's.
Is that Mary like happy or Mary like a woman?
Mary Washington, Mary.
Okay.
As in, I think a daughter of George Washington. I think it was one of
okay.
Something like that.
DAR kind of stuff.
Oh.
And then it wasn't necessarily grassroots related, except for what it could cause. earlier in the chat, or in our little pre-pod chat, we were discussing that the USA Rugby windfall from World Rugby was going to have a negative impact elsewhere.
Yep.
That's what's implied. We haven't even
Yes.
gotten clarification on it, but the rugby world has pounced on this and decided
Yes.
that somehow it was a zero-sum amount. We don't know, and if it's true, we will have other comments on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the
And
number that you pointed out was, what was it, Uruguay, 14% decrease in
Decrease.
funding. We don't know for a fact these things are connected, and it's not like USA Rugby said, "Hey, World Rugby, can you decrease funding for other people and give us more money?" That
Exactly.
didn't happen.
The real headline here is really like, regardless of what the facts are, and we really, really, really hope that this money isn't something that you could have given them, that you came up and said, like, we zeroed out all the books after we talked about our 250 to 270, and we said, can't happen. We don't know. But either way, we until we know, it's hard to say.
yes,
It's
but
easy. Sorry, it's easy to hate USA Rugby.
yes,
I understand.
yes, yes. I would say that it's doubtful that USA Rugby is directly involved in this at all.
Right.
But it does speak to a problem that what USA Rugby does is right now we've got the Pacific Nations Cup, and I would love it if we could also get a South American or an America's Cup going.
Yes.
There's
Where
Super America Rugby. There's Super Rugby
there's Super Rugby
Americas.
America.
And then
And
there's
somehow
Rugby
USA
America.
Rugby and that
which
organization
used
hate
to
each other.
have the American Raptors in it until the
Right.
American Raptors.
And for women, we
did
have
another
Rugby
thing.
America's North,
Yes.
which is another competition that we have.
Yes.
And I feel like all these relationships have been soured, but I don't know how, and I don't know why they're unmendable.
Mhm.
Everything except RAN. RAN is fine because we only ever send an America South / Raptors, whichever you want to call it. They call it different. Or Falcons, maybe, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think the Super Rugby Americas thing is or soured. It's just that the American Raptors went for their third little branding change in a few years.
I was going to say it's that it was abandoned. The project was abandoned.
Yes.
Is how it felt.
Great.
Yes, but
it's always a good move.
But
my main complaint is like, this was a really shitty time for these two things to come out together. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's World Rugby's doing, but you know how it looks.
Mhm.
You know how it makes us look.
Yes, but it's more just the haves in rugby taking away from the have-nots.
It makes it
where
really obvious.
you see next year the rugby championship going away or going on hiatus.
It seems obvious to me.
Which would be another blow.
Yes.
The powers that be must be like, if we make rugby bigger in America, what will that dollar sign look like? If we make rugby bigger in Uruguay, what will that dollar sign look like? And I can see the math pretty quickly.
Also, if we're completely honest, and we have to be, because unfortunately, even though we would like it not to be the case, rugby ends up being made a business like every other competitive sport.
Right.
In terms of the places that are easiest to exploit for that money, places that will do deals with, for example, Saudi Arabia, other human rights aggressors, all sorts of stuff. America is much easier to work with business-wise, and World Rugby could be looking at it as a literal investment of just like, I'm greasing your palm now, you will grease my palm later when things pan out, and they should. Right along when you get your World Cup, you're welcome. We've helped you a bunch. Now we'd like our returns on investment. Whereas if you look at that in South America, first of all, they're not necessarily as easy to manipulate because like they're not used to being shaken down. Like they don't have much to give up. You can take what you gave us back, but we don't have much to shake down for. And also, of course, the regular part for USA is very rich.
There was a great article a few months ago about how like the sports money pie in America is so huge that even getting a tiny sliver would be so significant compared to all other nations that like it's of course World Rugby is going to be chasing this, of course, and they should.
Yes. Yes, but what I'm wanting is more more communication, more just coordination with the developing rugby nations in South and Central America.
Heck yeah.
It would be nice if it didn't feel like a complete abandonment when it was
Yes.
already part of the greater conversation anyway. Like this isn't something new. It's being put into glaring light
Yes.
by this investment in America, but we've known.
Well, on the men's world side, our top 8 are South Africa, Ireland, New Zealand, France, England in 5th, Argentina, Australia in 7th. Whew, who would have thought that a year ago? And Scotland in 8th. We are in the next. We're in the 9 to 19 kind of space. I hope I can get you to close any of the browsers you might have open right now. Julia, who is ranked higher in the world for men's right now, Georgia or the USA?
Georgia.
Georgia are number 11.
Yeah.
Kolya, who's ranked higher right now, Uruguay or the USA?
I believe it's Uruguay.
Because of this weekend, we
Ooh.
went
Have
to
just
16. They're 17.
Ooh.
Julia, what
This,
about
by the way,
Spain?
I do think Spain is higher than USA, not by much.
They are by 2 slots. They're 14th, final one. Let's see. A team that's qualified for the next World Cup. Romania. Where does Romania sit, Kolya, compared to us?
Below.
They are below us. They're 21, and we are 16 after this result this weekend. Interesting stuff. Like you said earlier, Kolya, like the rankings mean nothing to me. I just
Yes.
love looking at them, and I love looking at the movement. Oh wow, you know, you know,
Yeah, it's a lot
Tierra
of
del
fun.
Fuego moved up 2 places.
Argentina is sending a drone after you right now. It's ours. Um, I will add, and it's a conversation that I had to have recently because of the weird seedings for the Women's World Cup. I will add that Kolya had said it earlier, and I will reiterate, the rankings don't make a lot of sense because the equation that they use is fundamentally unfair. If you are a nation that plays more matches, even if you lose more, if you play more than another one and you aren't getting slaughtered constantly, you can climb in the rankings easier than a team that only plays 2 or 3 times a year or even less. And that is why you see some of the wonky placings and ones that surprise you.
This summer, Ireland were yo-yoing and they hadn't even played. They're like, what? But
and it was because you hadn't played. Was all.
Yes. Yes. And Australia, I'm assuming the British and Irish Lions play into the rankings in some way.
Yeah.
But Argentina defeating the British and Irish Lions does not, because that wasn't an official test cap.
I was gonna say, I imagine that none of them held any ranking weight because you can't attribute one of the scores to a team. But
right, Argentina are such a mysterious team too, because like everything I know about rugby tells me consistency and cohesion within a unit is the recipe for success. Reps with the players you know are going to be next to you is the most important thing. And Argentina never have that because there's no domestic competition. Those players are all over the world. And then the Pumas get together and boom, they might hammer you. So strange.
They do have a domestic competition, and then they do have the clubs that are in Super Rugby Americas.
Oh, that's true.
Because the Jaguares broke into 2.
Oh,
that's what happened with Jaguares.
Yep.
But
we all miss Jaguaro.
Yes. But one of the things with Argentina is they just sometimes lack discipline.
Which definitely comes
you
from not
you
training
can
together
you can almost tell by watching the anthems whether they're going to win or not.
How vibes-based wins.
Well, it used to be that it was a guarantee. If you just wind up Crema enough, he's gonna go nuts and get a red card or something. He doesn't do that anymore. I don't think I've seen him carded in a couple of years.
One of the line items was sending him to anger management on the budget.
By the way, it's not really in our purview once again, but like on the Scrum of the Earth, I spent 4 years massacring Pablo Matera for his disgusting, racist, evil comments. And when they came to light, Argentina was like, "We are removing your captaincy and you're suspended for 6 games." And then the next game, they were like, "Oh, we actually kind of need you, so you're not suspended and you're not captain, but you're back." And they just, from where I sat, I thought they basically just said, "Forget it. Everyone's going to forget about this." So I specifically looked it up. Did Pablo Matera ever atone for these actions? And the answer was a resounding yes. He did a lot. And I'm not going to go on record and say Pablo Matera is a nice guy. I'm going to say that I'm no longer going to say all the mean things I say about him because he did
Pablo Matera, guy who worked on it. Guy who worked on it.
Yes.
Great.
I'll give him that. Final thoughts before we, call a full lid?
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles, right?
It was nice
to
to
quote
have
the
a win.
great, yeah, to
I
quote
know.
the great Hannah Einbender. Go Eagles.
So,
and then the other two things.
Some of the social media after we won this game, though, my favorite one was all caps, "never in doubt." And I was like, I think it was pretty in doubt. I feel like it was pretty much in doubt.
But it's very American for us to look at it and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Same. Now that I can lie about it, same.
Exactly. As always, thank you to Lee, Hugh, and all the folks at The Wrap. Thanks to all of you for coming along and watching or listening. We're on YouTube. We're on all the usual platforms for audio pods. And, you can always help out by spreading the word. That would be phenomenal. Until next week, from all of us, cheers. Thanks to you all, and be well.
That was the Mall Street Journal. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can like us on Facebook and on Twitter and do all the usual things. More importantly, join us again next week for more of the same.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.